Hey everyone, this week I'm sharing one simple tip which might really help improve your long exposure photography. So I've come back to Wyming Brook. I was here not too long ago. I was doing a video about foggy photography. Today there's no fog, but there are some great waterfalls a bit further on, so we're going to find those and we're doing some long exposure photography. Now, clickbaity titles aside, I am going to share one simple tip today which has really helped me improve my long exposure photography. But before we get into that, I'm going to go find some waterfalls, we'll take a few shots, and I'll talk a little bit about the filters I'm using to get those long exposures. So right away, without any filters on at all, I've got around about 2 seconds at f11, ISO 64. But I'm going to drop that a little bit by putting a circular polarizer on. I really like polarizers in woodland areas because it takes the shine away from things. As you rotate it, it cuts out polarized light, and that takes the glare away, and it really helps all the colours to come out, all the rich oranges and greens, and just takes away all that nasty white glare. So with the polarizer on, I'll get a slightly slower shutter speed. At f11, maybe around about 8 seconds, and then as I increase up to say f18, I might get 15 to 20 seconds. And at these kinds of speeds, my tip's probably not going to be much use. Maybe, but maybe not. So I'm going to hang on to it for a little bit longer. As we move up, I'm going to start using ND filters, and that'll really slow my shutter speed down, and then I can talk about the tip that I'm going to share with you. Okay, so the light's starting to drop now, and I'm also going to put an ND64 filter on the front of the camera, possibly combined with the polarizer as well. So I'm really going to start to get some long shutter speeds. And even though I'm on the tripod, I might get some camera shake or some slight blur. It only needs to be a tiny, tiny amount, and it can really soften your image. It's not obvious at first, but you really inspect that image and it's just slightly soft. So the tip I'm going to give you is to take 2 shots. What we're going to do is going to take 1 shot at the slow shutter speed, so we get the nice blurry water, but then we'll take a second shutter speed and increase our ISO so that we get a much faster shutter speed, and then we can combine those 2 elements together so that our foreground elements at least are going to be nice and sharp and not moving. And I know what you're thinking. You might say, yeah, I've got a really good tripod, I'm not going to get any shake, I've got a shutter release, etc. Well, that might be true, and you might be able to get your long exposure in 1 shot without this tip. However, there is one situation where you're not going to be able to get around it, and you are going to have problems, and we'll talk about that a little bit further on. So I've actually taken the ND filter off now. I didn't really like how it was combining with the polarizer. It was just too much in front of the lens. And now the light's dropping. It's actually slow enough just with the polarizer on there. So the conditions where you actually are going to have to use this technique are when it's windy. Now normally when I come out, it's usually blowing a gale. Today, obviously, when I'm doing long exposures and I want to make a point about windy conditions, it's quite calm. So I can't demonstrate the windy conditions today, but I did see some people crossing over a bridge just up there a moment ago. So what I did, I bumped up the ISO to about 6,400, dropped my F number down to 5.6, and I managed to get quite a reasonably fast shutter speed shot of those people crossing the bridge. So hopefully they were frozen. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to blend it with one of the shots, one of the long exposure shots at a much slower speed, and we'll see what those look like combined. The light's really starting to drop now, so I do need to head back. But when I get home, I'm going to get these on the computer and I'm going to show you how I blend them so we can mix the fast shutter speed shots, tongue twister, and the slow shutter speed shots. I'll see you back there. Okay, so I'm back home now, so let's have a look at these two images that we're going to blend together. So this is the first image I'm going to use. This is my longest exposure, so 25 seconds, f11, ISO 64. You'll see we've got some nice motion in the water, it's blurred out there. And the second image I'm going to choose is this one. So in this one we've got the people. Now we can see they're not absolutely frozen, there's still a little bit of blur there. This was around about 1/13 of a second, so not fast enough to capture them absolutely pin sharp, but much faster than 25 seconds. If we'd have got these people in the 25-second shot, you just wouldn't see them, they'd be completely blurred out. So this is f5.6. I did have to drop it down just to get enough light into the camera. I do like to try and keep it the same f number as the other shot if possible, just so we've got the same depth of field and stuff, but it's not going to cause too much of a problem. We can still blend these images. And this is also ISO 6400, so we are going to get some noise in this image compared to the other one, so I would just suggest using the denoise tools in your software of choice just to try and minimize the effects of that. So what we're going to do with that image selected, we're also going to select the other image so that we've got them both highlighted there. I'm going to right click, edit in, and then choose open as layers in Photoshop. I'll just think for a little while and then it should open up as layers in Photoshop. So here we are now, we've got both of those layers down here in the bottom right in our layers palette. I can turn that one off and we see the one below, and you'll see they're just slightly out of line even though I had it on the tripod. So what I can do is just highlight both of those layers, come up to edit, auto align layers. We can leave it on auto, click OK. And that'll just sort that out so that they're nicely in line. Now with the top layer selected, we're going to come up to layer, down to layer mask, and we're going to click reveal all. You need to make sure you've got black as your primary colour down here on the left. And then with the brush tool, I'm just going to paint in the areas that I want to reveal from the layer below. So this is basically rubbing out, if I just hide the bottom layer, rubbing out this top layer so that it reveals the one below. If I click on the mask, you can see what we're doing here. Now I'm going to do this quite quickly, so we don't end up with a really long video like they have been in previous weeks. But you can take more time with this. Make it as neat as you like. So we're starting to get there now. Again, we can have a quick look at that. And I think that's more or less it. So all you need to do then is save that back into Lightroom. You can do any final edits on it that you need to do. But basically, we've got the faster shot blended with the slower shot. And if you've got a windy day with the leaves blowing around, it can really help with that. So you get the nice frozen foliage, but with the blurred water beneath it. So as you can see, it's quite a quick and simple technique of blending two images together, but it can really improve your long exposure shots. And you can use this for waterfalls, seascapes, astro, basically any situation where you're going to be using an exposure time of more than about a second. I've used Photoshop today, but you just need any kind of software which has got layers and masking abilities, and you can create these kind of effects in your long exposure shots. I've just got a few more images to show you, so I'll put those on screen now. And that's about it for this video. So once again, massive thanks for watching. If you watch every week, really do appreciate it. If you are new to the channel and you're not yet subscribed and you'd like to do so, you can click down there on the big red button or on this picture of me here. And that way you'll keep up to date with everything I'm doing each and every week. There's a new video every Sunday morning, 10 AM UK time. So I hope you'll join me next week for the next one. But until then, thanks a lot everyone, and bye for now.